Good evening. This is the Crypto Homie. Today we're going to touch up on a few things. One including with the current price drop, all this volatility. We got want to check on that ETH Grayscale trust. I saw Binance is listing a couple new coins and a few other interesting news in the crypto space. So to start things off, as we can see, I'm not sure if you guys are aware or if you guys live in the United States. Binance US now is listing Ontology, the engine coin. So that's cool if you if you live in the US, and if you're in the States that can use it. I'm not sure if any of you are into the Grayscale trust, but the current the ETH version, the ETHE, it's around 120, and just a couple months ago it was down at $25. So that's some great gains right there. I mean, ETH hasn't even seen that yet, so I don't know what's going on. ETH's right at 258 at the current time of recording this video. Yeah, Bitcoin's hanging at around 9,600. If you guys know Alessio, his video, he said today that we should hang out around this price range for a little while, and then he expects a full reversal. This is just like a correction in the bull cycle. So we should be breaking 11K. I think the end of February, he said. I have to look at that again. But everything is looking good. If you look at the Bollinger Bands right now, we just breached the top on the weekly. So we could come back down to the middle and we could pop off that. Something that's interesting that Alessio talks about is the MT4 charts, which I can't make an account on that website because, I guess if you're an American, you're not allowed to use that website. And it has the Bitcoin chart excluding weekend data, so that without the weekend data, apparently it's more accurate or whatnot, because most traders just trade like Monday to Friday. So I thought that was interesting. He said we bounced off, if I remember correctly, the 21 EMA. So let's just see what happens there. And as I'm sure you all know, this drop in price, as I mentioned before, and in the last video, just a great time to buy. I mean, we just had the golden cross, if I'm not mistaken. And historically, that's been a great time to buy. So long term, I mean, not as great as like the capitulation phase, but I mean, come on, it's still gains are gains, I mean, you make 10x, it's still 10x. So interesting to see. Something I like to just personally check out. And I'm not like a professional chart guy or anything, but the weekly 200 moving average, that's something I like to check out just because, I mean, you can look for yourself. We bottomed at 31.25, so that's something like that. And that was the 200 weekly moving average. So I like to keep that in mind. Right now, that's hanging in at 54.07. I'm looking at the Coinbase chart for the 200 weekly moving average. So that's great. I mean, we shouldn't break that ever. If we do, I would be concerned, but I'm not concerned. If anybody watches the Crypto Crew University, he is mentioning that you need to be above. There's two things for a bull market, and we already passed them. But to break the trend that we're in, he says we need to break 10.5 and hold it. We touched 10.5 and got slammed back down. So slightly concerning for the trend, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because that's the weekly. So when we bounced up on that China news, when we bounced up to 10.5 back in October, I mean, I personally remember just seeing it skyrocket up to 10.5, it was crazy, and then it didn't really hold it. If you were in it at the time, it didn't hold, and it was very volatile. But we went up to 10.5, not so volatile. If you look at the candles, I mean, just massive bodies of the candles with some decent sized wicks. So that right there was a concern. But we have nice consolidation. We're moving up. Consolidation, moving up. We moved up, but then some consolidation. And right now, it just kind of makes sense for us to go down a little bit. If you look at it, we've had so many green candles on the weekly. It's been looking good. So I like to take things into perspective by looking at the monthly chart. And if you've ever looked at that chart, I mean, things are actually just starting to look good. Right now, obviously, February isn't done. But right now, it's not looking too great. But you just don't know how we'll end, or and this candle, I'm not even sure what it seems like there's some downward pressure, but I mean, you can expect a little bit after January's big green candle. You can't beat that. We started the month around 7,200, ended right around 9,400. Can't beat that at all. And if you guys use the squeeze momentum indicator on the monthly on Coinbase, and if you're familiar with the BLX, that's the chart that has the longest Bitcoin history on it ever. And with that chart, with both Coinbase and the BLX, the squeeze momentum, we're finally seeing a pulse to the upside. And that's great, because if you look at the history of it, when you start seeing pulses to the upside, that's just, I mean, the upside's good. So can't wait to see what happens there. I saw the other day, I didn't get a chance to make a video, but there was a F coin scam or something like that, I guess in China. That stuff crazy. It just reminds me of like the exchange in Canada. That guy faked his death, or I mean, claims he's died, but I mean, everybody thinks he's faked his death because he had that death certificate from India, and that's still being dealt with. So people lost. I mean, they lost all their crypto if it was on that exchange, which is sad. But with this, I guess this thing was exchange as well, or something like that. It like reminds me of Bitcoin. I mean, BitConnect as well. So just got to be wary of, you know, like with crypto, it's about owning your own keys. I think a nice diversification of where you place everything is great. Like there's definitely nice party custody solutions, and that's a good idea. Like, you know, you have some of your own, some custody where there's like 3 keys that back it up. I've heard of great IRA solutions. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin IRA. There's something Kingdom Trust, and there's a few other, and there's some that just do custody. So always look into that. But as always, this is not financial advice, so invest at your own terms. Well, with all the altcoins are down a lot today because the market. I mean, Bitcoin's down. It's down to 96, so everything else kind of tanked down. But hoping to see Ethereum pop through. And actually, on the monthly, Ethereum's looking good as well. It seems like all the Ethereum, XRP, and Litecoin on the squeeze momentum, they're all still in the red. So they're getting smaller reds every month. It's getting smaller. So we'll see what happens there. Seems like Bitcoin has the chance of topping first, possibly, and then once Bitcoin tops, people can just sell their Bitcoin and buy alts, because then alts will have their altcoin run. And if you've seen altcoin run before, it's fucking crazy. So get ready for that. Just don't get caught up in the FOMO. Make sure you sell. Don't buy. Because what's the point of buying when everything's mooning? Kind of like Tesla right now. I mean, 900 some bucks. Like, I remember looking at 260, like, wow, this company hasn't even made $1. Why would I buy this? And then, well, I mean, you see it today, 900 bucks. So that's why you buy it. What you sell right now. At least my personal advice. See, there's a lot of stuff like with the FUD around the Lightning Network is being brought up again. There's it's still bullish news, but some people are turning a little bearish, you know. So I think that's healthy though, so we aren't so optimistic, so greedy. So like, oh, it's going to the moon, because that's not good when everybody's like, oh, we're going to 200K, especially when we're only like at 9,600. Not so good. But it seems like our levels are being held. Everything seems to be good from what I like to watch Lezio and the Crypto Crew guys. Occasionally, there's a few others, but those are the main ones that I've seen. Oh, and Bob Lucas, his 4-year cycles are just like right on. Like, you can't, obviously not 100% right on, but like you can't beat that. Like the way he explains everything, have that long-term mindset. That's just comes down to the buy low, sell high, and it's very hard to execute because the emotions come in, and you know. He said to buy it like 3,900 if I remember correctly, and I was like, nah, man, it's gonna drop. It's gonna drop back down to under 3. So I didn't buy. I did not buy, and then the rest is history. We went on a really crazy run for a couple months up to 13.9, and now we're at where we're at now. But the whole point being is that you just would have just buy. Just it seems like that dollar cost average seems to work for what I've been reading online. Dollar cost average. That's how Warren Buffett's made money. He just buy consistently and hold consistently. Like don't just sell. Like, oh, I lost money. Oh, I made like $10, or 10%, 30%, whatever. But that's all I have today, guys. The crypto homies out. Take it easy.